Welcome to the Part S channel. Today we explain Prophets Isaiah chapter 26 in a clear and simple way, step by step. We're going to take a really fascinating journey together through the entire chapter, starting right from the opening song of trust and going all the way to the final warning of divine judgment. And we're going to do this by focusing purely on its simple, literal meaning. No complex symbolism today, just a clear, straightforward look at exactly what the text says.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by setting the context, then we'll walk through the fall of pride in the early verses. After that, we'll explore the path of the righteous and the nation's historical struggle. We'll take a moment to clarify some key terms, draw out some highly practical life lessons you can actually use, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a short recap.
All right, Section 1, Context. Let's set the stage with a song of trust. To make sure we're getting the most authentic understanding possible, we're going to be using the 1917 Jewish Publication Society translation of the Masoretic text. This specific translation gives us an incredibly accurate and clear window right into the original Hebrew. It really allows us to anchor our understanding in the source material itself as we step through all 26 verses. Now, the chapter kicks off by setting a very specific scene right in the land of Judah, singing about a strong city where salvation literally serves as its walls and bulwarks. It's a powerful image of security right from the start.
Moving right into Section 2, the fall of pride, which covers verses 1 through 6. So after the opening lines talk about the gates of this righteous, strong city opening up for those who keep faithfulness in verses 1 through 3, we hit verse 4. And verse 4 is just this absolutely beautiful declaration of absolute stability. It presents God as an unshakable, permanent foundation in a totally chaotic world. The verse calls us to trust in this foundation, establishing right out of the gate that there is a core of reality that simply does not move. It is, as the text says, an everlasting rock.
Then, moving to verse 5, the text vividly describes the fall of oppressive, arrogant power structures. It contrasts them directly with that strong, faithful city of Judah we just saw. It's showing us that no matter how high these arrogant powers try to build themselves up in their lofty city, they are inevitably going to be brought down to the earth. The repetition here is striking. It talks about laying it low, even to the ground, and bringing it all the way to the dust. It's a complete and total leveling of human pride.
And then verse 6 tells us exactly who walks over the ruins. It states, "The foot shall tread it down, even the feet of the poor and the steps of the needy." Think about that for a second. It's not some massive, conquering military army that tramples this fallen arrogance. It's the very marginalized people that the city once looked down upon. This brilliantly illustrates a dramatic reversal of fortunes, providing a really profound statement about how ultimate justice actually works in the end. Now we enter Section 3, Path and Struggle, where we'll look at verses 7 through 19.
Verse 7 offers a really clear, simple promise. If you live justly, your path becomes straight, cleared, and guided by the ultimate upright Creator. Verses 8 through 10 then contrast this deeply with the wicked. While the righteous soul waits for God's judgments in the night, meaning during dark or difficult times, and seeks Him earnestly to learn righteousness, the wicked absolutely refuse to learn. It's fascinating because the text points out that even when the wicked are shown favor, or even when they are placed right in a land of uprightness, they remain totally blind to the majesty of the Lord. They just don't get it.
In verses 11 through 15, we see God's hand lifted against these enemies. He establishes peace for the just while wiping out the oppressive lords of the past so completely that even the memory of them perishes. This is what allows the righteous nation to increase. Yet, verses 16 through 18 do something really remarkable. They honestly recount the intense distress of getting there. The text doesn't sugarcoat it. The people poured out prayers in their suffering, feeling as though their past efforts were as futile as a woman in labor bringing forth nothing but wind. It's a raw, very human admission of how hard the struggle actually was.
Let's trace how all of this builds to a massive climax in verses 19 through 21. First, we get this incredible promise of renewal in verse 19. "Thy dead shall live," commanding those who dwell in the dust to literally awake and sing. It's a total reversal of despair. Second, in verse 20, there is a very practical, immediate call for the people to enter their chambers and shut their doors, basically hiding for a brief moment. And third, verse 21 tells us exactly why they need to hide. The Lord is coming out of His place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity, revealing the blood that has been shed. It's a powerful moment of ultimate accountability.
Let's move to Section 4, Clarifications.
Let's just pause for a moment and define a few of these key terms so we're all on the exact same page. Back when verse 4 said everlasting rock, it is simply using a physical metaphor to describe an ultimate foundation of safety that never shifts or changes. You see, in the ancient world, a massive rock outcropping was quite literally the safest place you could build a fortress or find shelter. So the text is just using this very familiar, grounded imagery to describe the literal nature of God's absolute reliability.
Similarly, the lofty city is just a direct, straightforward representation of imposing human pride that is ultimately humbled. It's directly contrasted with those safe chambers in verse 20 where the righteous take shelter. The text isn't hiding a secret code here. It's painting a highly relatable picture of human ego facing divine justice. When societies build these massive monuments to their own invincibility, they forget that ultimate authority simply doesn't belong to them.
Okay, Section 5, Practical Life Lessons. How do we take a text this ancient and apply it to our lives today?
Well, we can actively improve ourselves right now by applying these lessons. First, we need to find our strength in that everlasting rock. Anchor ourselves to stable principles that don't just change with whatever is trending today. Second, we must remember the inevitable fate of the lofty city and consciously choose humility over arrogant pride. Third, we have to practice patience, recognizing that our past struggles, even the ones that felt completely futile, like bringing forth wind, are actually part of a much larger process of growth. And fourth, we absolutely must keep seeking truth earnestly, even during the dark, difficult nights of our lives.
Finally, Section 6. Let's do a short recap of everything we just learned. We've moved from the strong city of Judah to the humbling of lofty powers, through the quiet, painful yearnings of the soul, and finally to hiding in chambers while judgment passes over the earth. But what is the absolute core takeaway from this entire chapter of Isaiah? What does it all mean for us? The text anchors us with this incredible, powerful thought back in verse 9, that when these judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. The humbling of the proud, the resurrection of hope from the dust, and the sheltering of the just. These aren't just random historical events. They are literally a classroom for humanity. The entire purpose of experiencing these judgments is education, so the world can actually learn to choose the upright path. So I'll leave you with this. When you face the inevitable lofty cities of our modern world, where are you choosing to place your ultimate trust?
Thank you for learning with us. If this helped you understand the chapter better, like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.